After you've figured out where you're impacting and you're ready to make those adjustments, you're going to see that this optic has two adjustment screws here. So you're going to have your windage and your elevation, and they are labeled. This one it says to go to the right. You're going to actually turn it to left, and I do need to go to the right just a little bit. So they're nice and tactile. I can feel and hear the clicks both, and I do need to come up a little bit. These adjustments right here are 1 MOA per click. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a really big fan of 1 MOA clicks, especially on a red dot or reflex sight, or a 1X prismatic for that matter, because generally what you need are big gross movements, as in what that means is large scale movements. You don't want so much of a finite adjustment because you're shooting on a red dot, and if it's, let's say, a 2 or 3 MOA sized red dot, it's more functional just to have a 1 click equals 1 MOA rather than even a half MOA. So this is a great feature. It's very easy to zero. And I think with that set, I'm good to go right now myself on this Crosman 1377. Now I'm going to take a minute just to tell you a little bit about the dot itself. It is green, as you can tell. There are multiple intensity levels which are controlled on the side. I'll show you that button in a second. This right here is your illumination intensity button. So if you want to go brighter or more dull, you're just going to press the button over and over, and as you press it, it's going to go brighter and brighter, and then it'll restart at the beginning again on the left with less bright. And then to turn it off, you're just going to go ahead and hold it down for about 3 to 5 seconds. And it's off. Turning it on, same thing, just hold it down for a couple seconds and it'll be right on, ready to go for you. Very bright and on the last setting that you had it on. And as soon as I remove my hand here, we're going to go against a green contrast. And it's better in my eye than it probably is for you, but I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to go ahead and try to focus the way, pretty much like that right there. You can still see the green dot there. I'll move it around just so you can make sure you know which one it is. You can see that green dot sticking out. I would say to my eye, against that green grass, actually the green dot is much brighter than the video is able to provide an image for. It sticks out pretty clearly. It's not hard for me to tell that the green dot is on, and I am on maximum illumination, or maximum brightness setting rather, because it's very bright out, it's hot, it's 80 something degrees out, very sunny, and not many clouds in the sky. So this is pretty much max brightness for the day that I'm going to shoot, and it's also max brightness for the optic itself. If I turn it down, and I'm going to go ahead and cover this up, now we're at, let's see, right there would be the night vision setting, or kind of almost nothing. A little more, you can faintly pick it out there, and it starts to go. By about the third setting there, I think I can start to make it out, and at dusk that would be very, very bright. It would be plenty bright. You can see it's a nice round circle. It's not difficult to pick out. It's not, you know, at least in the camera's perception here, it's not too bubbly. It's not a cluster. It looks like a really nice tight image. And just again, going through those brightness settings, and we'll try to focus back in. You can see how that sticks out, and it's not hard, guys, to pick out. That's about 55 yards where it's looking right now. At a closer distance target, I think it would contrast just a little bit better, and maybe I should show you that. Hopefully you can see that on the cardboard there. That's about 10 yards, and the contrast is very easy for me to pick out with my eye. Stands out really nicely. It's a decent size box or window to look through, and provides probably just enough so you could still be quick with it when it's on a pistol, but enough of a box that your eye has something to look through and kind of pair up here. So the optic does come with a nice loose fitting rubber cover. Just sits on top. It just protects your glass from getting scratched, maybe bumped in a gun case, cabinet, gun cabinet, something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and take a couple shots now here, just at 20 yards, or it was actually 15 yards, with my Crosman 1377 pistol. Love this thing a lot. Have the illumination setting on the highest right now. There's a bullseye. I'll tell you that the brightness overall is easily enough to compensate with the bright day that I'm shooting on right now. That was my main concern or interest, is it bright enough to deal with a really bright day? Because in Minnesota, where I shoot, our context is we get white, bright, snowy winters. So when the sun is out and it's very sunny on the snow, you need a bright red dot to compensate with that. It doesn't always stick out enough. And on a bright summer day, I know people who live in the desert or places like that, they need something like this that's going to contrast well. So far in my experience, even against the grass, it's contrasting pretty good. Definitely shooting some tight groups. I appreciate the form factor of the Optic. It's not a very big one. It's pretty small. Now I've outfitted this with a QD here that I'm in testing of right now. This QD has been working pretty good. The Optic itself does not sit up too high at all, but high enough to clear some of the stuff I have on here when I convert this back to like a rifle configuration. Yeah, anytime I can shoot groups like that with a pistol and a red dot, honestly, I'm pretty happy. So I know it's consistent. I'm glad that when I turn it off and on, it keeps and retains its zero. The contrast is really high. The form factor is not too big. And I do believe that this would hold up to greater recoil because I've tested these on rifles that are like a 308 or 223, and it hasn't turned off or had any shakiness in the reticle or the illumination rather. So I do believe that they are, you know, qualified to be on a center fire. I probably wouldn't put them on a Springer just because Springers wreck everything, but I do think they're qualified to be on center fires of all sorts, and certainly what I'm doing right here today. When you get your UUQ HD1079 green dot for RMR, it's going to come inside this hard plastic case. It's packaged well. I have my Optic on something right now, but you're going to get your Optic inside as well as a base plate, which is very important. And along with that base plate, which will help you set it up on a pistol or different configurations, you're gonna get hardware, and that hardware has differing lengths. If you can see that there, those differing lengths are gonna help you attach it to whatever your setup is and get the right depth, as well as it comes with the Allens themselves, some desiccant to keep everything dry, a 2032 battery. So these lithium batteries last forever, guys. They're a fantastic battery option. Glad to see that they include an extra in there. A tool for adjusting the Optic itself, so you could use that when it comes time to zero. And then lastly, get this bee off my hand, lastly, your warranty card. And the warranty card has a QR code, and that will help you register your product. And then you can also see some of the social media links, which will tell you more about the product right there. It's been a while since I've done any trick shots on the channel, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my Crosman 1377 in a pistol configuration. I'm going to put out a Mountain Dew mini pop can at 50 yards, and I'm going to get it within 3 shots. I think that's a decent shot, especially with something like this and the inconsistencies of wind and a pellet gun. 50 yards on a mini can. Let's see if we can do it using this new UUQ green red dot. All right, I'm in the shade right now. I understand I didn't bring my spotter with, but I will be able to zoom in a little bit with the camera just so you can see. Like, you'll see it fall or move or something. Here's my first shot. Go ahead and wait for the wind to totally die off, and we'll throw one down there. I think I'm about there right now. Zoom in a little bit. Give me a second here. I'm gonna do that. You should be able to see it fall. It is in that upper left corner. It's up there above the white of the target. 7 pumps. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, on to shot 2. Well, this is everything. It's all the marbles here. I gotta make it on this shot. This is my 3rd shot. All right, so funny story. I shot the 3 shots. I didn't see any movement. Can didn't do anything. Wasn't wet down there. And so I figured I missed all three, but the first shot sounded kind of different, and I thought I just hit wood. I thought I hit the frame itself. So I was going to say, hey, let's just see how many shots it takes me out of 10 shots, let's say, to hit that pop can, if I could even do it. And I was going to shoot on some paper down there, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to walk down there and see if I can see where that first shot actually hit, in the paper or in the wood or something. I walked down there, and I'm going to show you exactly what I found. I had one more that I had loaded up here to see how many more shots it would take me. I'm going to shoot that quick, and I'm going to keep recording right where we're at, and then I'll just pick up the camera, and no cuts or whatever. We'll walk down there together, and I'm just going to show you what I found. That was still a miss. Come with me though for a second, and I'm going to show you something, why I didn't notice what happened. Let's see, maybe I'll flip this around. There we go. So hopefully the audio is still picking up pretty good. My microphone died on me, and normally I just edit out the walking part, but people complain. Say it's edited or faked. So I couldn't see that I actually struck the target. And I think it was, believe it or not, on my first shot, that sound I heard was not a pellet on paper or in the wood. And maybe you could hear it on there. It was actually the can. It barely made it through into the can, but that was a dead center hit, which to be honest with you is pretty lucky, and that's why you call it a trick shot. If that's frustrating to you, don't get mad at me, just get better. Maybe you need to get one of these red dots. It shot just fine, guys, very happy with it. Here are some of my conclusions. So who's going to get the most out of an optic like this? I would have to say folks who are in the defensive community. Maybe you have a defensive pistol, an auto pistol of some sort, even a revolver, and you want to go ahead and throw a red dot on there. That makes a lot of sense to me, because many people in the last few years have kind of converted to putting red dots on their pistols, revolvers, automatics, both kinds, and they're getting really great success with it. I noticed that new shooters, this is a very intuitive way to help them get a good sight picture, and some people aren't even using irons anymore. They're just going straight to red dots, not even worried about the co-witness, because the consistency of the red dots is becoming very good. Long battery life, very nice tight images. As far as the eye box goes, the windows are getting better and better. Clarity of glass, color shading of the glass is better and better, and just the reflective capability is very good. So the image of the green dot in there is, in my eye, guys, very tight, and I normally get a little bit of an astigmatism problem where I have just a small cluster. It doesn't prevent me from shooting red dots in general or reflex sights, but I notice it usually more with really cheap ones, and this one does not have those failure points. I think this is a nice tight image. The projection of that dot seems to be a nice tight circle for me, so that's a nice improvement over the budget brands, honestly. So maybe the people who are interested in defensive pistol options, and then folks who are going to do some plinking like me, where you're going to put it on an air rifle of some sort, I think that's a great qualified way to use it because it's so budget friendly. What I did is put it on a quick detach mount, like you can see here, so I can actually throw this on multiple different things. Sometimes I'll throw it on a rifle setup where I have just a red dot on the rifle setup. Sometimes I use it as a piggyback on a scope, which you'll see in some other videos of UUQ products that I review. And I really like the piggyback mounting that I can do on long optics, long range optics. Having something like a red dot on there for quick acquisition of closer targets, you just can't beat it. It is so quick, and these are reliable, they're durable. So I think that's a good option. And even down into maybe people who are more just hobbyists and they want to plink and do airsoft and whatever else, at the price point, there's no reason not to go with something that's a little higher quality than the other things on the internet. And UUQ does provide higher quality than the other ones. Absolutely, the build quality is there, the fit and finish is there, and they throw in some extras in the packaging, which, it's hard to know, how do they even make a profit on this stuff? I think they're doing a great job, they're very competitive, and I can recommend it, especially for the applications you see on my channel. If you're in the market for a new red dot or a reflex sight, I highly encourage you to check out UUQ. You can find these on Amazon. Again, the pricing is extremely reasonable and the success I've had with them is very favorable.